Hi, this is Ed Rushman for Whitestone Journal. I just saw another thing yesterday on how everybody should just take care of themselves and, mind your own business and go do your thing, and that nobody should tell you what to do. And something that's been on my mind lately is that, there's a way of sticking our nose in other people's business and making a lot of rules for other people that doesn't make any sense. And boy, that's really true. But it's almost, on the other hand, like now we're moving toward, I think of that story about, give a man a fish he eats for a day, and teach him how to fish and he eats for a lifetime. And we're kind of in this thing where, we want our fish, we'll give a fish to somebody else maybe. Although people aren't as charitable as what sometimes they say they will be. It's kind of funny that way. That's a digression, sorry. But, if you know how to fish and the person next to you is starving, you give them a fish, you're building a dependency, of course. But more importantly, you're denying them something. Just as much as not giving the person a fish to eat, in not showing them a better way and not giving them a way to produce, that's denying them something they need just as much. Traffic is suddenly got busy here because there's a detour or a lane closure thing that's making me have to pay more attention. Anyway, the point is that we don't see that. We actually see, it seems like people see that as a gift now, that you don't teach them how to fish. Some people say, oh, you're building dependency and you're just doing this. And whether or not there's some truth to that, it's more that we need to see the denial of our gifts, a denial of information, a denial of giving of ourselves in that way is just as much denying something to somebody else. Does our neighbor have a right to our knowledge of how to fish? Yes. If they want it, if they'll try. You know what? Even if they won't try, they have a right to it. We're here to give. And giving doesn't just mean handing out money. And yeah, we have to do that. That's important. Because a lot of the time, if somebody comes up to me on the street and says, hey, do you have some change? I may not have time to teach them something. I may not be able to teach them something. They may not be, if they're hungry and tired and sick and they've been on the street for a long time, the stuff that I know may not be all that useful to them. Honestly, it may not be. But on the other hand, I can give them money, and that may be the best I can do. If I give it with love, if I smile and ask them to pray for me, then I've done a little more, and maybe I've given a little bit of myself. And it's with the constraints of what's possible in that moment, both by the constraints of the other person and by my time constraints, my own constraints one of the things about me that's kind of I'm not happy with, but I accept it as something in me, is that I've never been good at dealing with people that are profoundly mentally ill. I'm not good with dealing with small children, and it's much the same thing. Somebody said before that a small child in a lot of ways acts like a person that's drunk just all the time. And that's kind of true. It's with my own children, I don't know. Maybe I did better, maybe I didn't. But I just don't know what to say. A child comes up to me and says, oh, this is a sandwich I made for you, and it's not. It's something pretend. And I'm just not good at, oh, yum, yum, and on occasion I'll give into that. But a lot of the time, that's just not me. I'm better at the things that an older child requires, teaching them things. I'd love to pass knowledge on. So, okay, I'm biased, and because I enjoy, a critic would say, well, you enjoy teaching, you enjoy explaining things to people, so that means you shouldn't say this because you're biased. That's what you enjoy, but the rest of us don't enjoy that. Well, and if you don't enjoy that, then maybe you're not called to do it. But when it comes to, the practical things of life, teaching people things, I've tended to be kind of available for people that want to learn something in computers or something like that. Certainly anybody that wants to learn something that I know about, I don't know, scripture or work or other experience, I'd love to pass that on. And I do enjoy it. And if I didn't enjoy it so much, maybe I wouldn't do it. Maybe I wouldn't understand this, or maybe I would see it differently. But I do. But the other thing is, in life, I think about a time when I was living really badly when I was younger and got very sick. And a doctor said, it doesn't look like your lifestyle is making you very healthy. Do you have and this is true. The doctor actually asked me, he said, do you have a religion? And I said, well, I was baptized Catholic, but I haven't been following it. And he said, well, maybe you better start. And I don't think he was a Catholic doctor. I can't remember. I think he was Jewish, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it was interesting, and instead of giving me a fish, instead of just giving me some drugs to make me feel better or some antidepressants or something else, he did give me medicine, but at the same time, he taught me to fish. He said, this is what you need to do differently, and gave me advice. And a lot of people, I guess, from what I see around today, would be horribly offended by that. Somebody might report the guy. I mean, I like to think he could read people enough to know where he could do it and where he couldn't. Having discretion is a good thing. Discretion is the better part of valor. But regardless, he stepped out beyond his role as a provider of medicines. But I think that he was still within his role as a doctor. He saw what the root of the problem was my own lack of direction, my own lack of who I was, not having any sense of what to do with my life. He picked up on that well enough to shake me out of that self-destructive death spiral that I was in. I think that's pretty neat. Some people think that's wrong. So maybe be a little more open. It's not good to tell people sometimes to give other people advice or to speak the truth to other people, because then they get carried away and can be rude, or just not know when to do it. But if you think that it's not good to tell other people how to live, and I deliberately put it in that rough way, if you think that everybody should just be let alone to do whatever they want, nobody should ever tell anybody anything, just mind your own business, row your own boat, well, maybe think again. Maybe think about that giving somebody just food or money or even a job isn't enough. That sometimes we have something that we've learned in life that we can give someone else that might actually make a big difference for them. It might make them, in the end, more self-sufficient, but in the end, happier. And that's really what it's all about, is for us to help each other become happy. And that's not easy to do. It's complex. And not everybody wants our help. But we need to try. There's an awful lot of sadness in the world. A lot of lost people. A lot of sheep without a shepherd. We may not be the shepherd, but maybe we can point the way. Ed Rushman, Whitestone Journal.